Okay, so the ITC 99B has a splice detection system, which means that the splice is the join in the tape. So there is a piece of adhesive tape that joins the tape together and makes the loop. Now, you don't really want that join on the audio, so the join is best on the cartridge where it's not going to be playing audio. So how does it detect the splice? There's no optical system. All we've got here is the switch which switches the machine on, the capstan, the playback head and the record head. There is nothing else. So how does it do it? Let's turn the machine over and have a look. So this is the underside of the machine. It has automatic azimuth adjustment as well for the record head, and that is done by this, but we're talking about detecting the splice, aren't we? So how does it do it? Well, if we look underneath the machine here, I'll bring you a bit nearer and a bit more clearer. If we look here, we have a little magnetic plunger, if you like, and in here is a coil mounted on a pedestal. So when the capstan goes into position, I'm trying to lift this up by, how am I going to do this? Let's see if I can lift it. Yes, I've got hold of it. So when the capstan, when the pinch roller goes up into position, this lever moves with the pinch roller and stays there. Now, being a coil, if this is moving, this will produce a signal which will be amplified and detected. So what happens is I will exaggerate this so the capstan is in contact with the tape's going along, it reaches the, don't forget this is exaggerated, it reaches the join, and as it reaches it, it's a little bit like a car wheel going over a bump, so it will go boop, and then when it's passed, so that will be a tiny weeny movement, and that will be detected. Now and again the machine does miss it. It can happen because it is such a minuscule movement that it's possible that sometimes it misses it, but not often. It gets it nearly every time. So that's how it detects the splice. Quite clever stuff, really. So when the capstan retracts again, this retracts, and I keep saying capstan, I mean pinch roller. When the pinch roller retracts, this retracts, and as I say, when that's in the play position, and when it's looking for the splice, it will just the tiniest movement of that will be able to be amplified and detected, and that will shut the machine off at the right point. This is the motor, very similar to a Revox motor actually. It's crystal controlled though, this particular machine. The early machines were run from the frequency of the mains. That's what determined their speed, but this is actually crystal controlled. So there we are, that's how we detect the splice. So just to reiterate and make it clearer, the bar you just saw is connected to the other end of this spindle, it's under there. So when that's in position, that bar will be sticking into that little coil, and when this retracts, the bar will go away. So when the pinch wheel goes over the splicing tape, it goes out very slightly, not as much as that obviously, but it will detect the thickness of the, it actually doesn't detect the thickness. What it's detecting is the bump itself, the bump as the wheel goes over the splicing tape. It doesn't really, someone said on one of the forums, maybe it's not working because of oxide build-up, but that's not the case. It detects the change rather than the thickness. It doesn't matter if that's sitting there, it will still detect a change. So the little magnet inside the coil, if that's moved, you'd see it on an oscilloscope. I might try and hook up an oscilloscope to the circuitry and see if we can actually see it on a scope, and we should be able to if we connect it to the right part of the amplification circuitry. So there we have it. Another feature. I believe it was an ITC invented it. They had several inventions up their sleeve. They were clever bods there at ITC. They're very clever indeed. So here is a little diagram just to try and make it clearer if you've got to having a little job understanding it. There's the pinch roller, that's the movable item. There's the capstan. Here's our tape running through. There's the splice. So the splice will be thicker where the splice is, so you've got the thickness of the splice and the thickness of the tape, so it will be thicker. So you have a little step, if you like, and when the step gets to there, it pushes the pinch roller just back a minuscule amount, tiny amount, and that's enough for this circuitry to detect, and that detects the splice. And still working on this machine after all these years. It's quite amazing, really quite amazing.